What if the herb in your kitchen could gently sharpen the eye that feels rather than sees? What if 7 plants, long whispered about in temples, cottages, and coastal shrines, could help you access clearer dreaming, softer intuition, and a sense of inner sight, quickly if used with care? Today, I want to walk you through 7 forbidden herbs that many traditions have used to awaken the so-called third eye, the pineal, and how to work with them safely, respectfully, and intentionally. Hi, I'm Eduarda, a plant medicine guide and teacher of contemplative practices. On this channel, we explore how ancestral plant allies, ritual, and daily practice can support inner opening without drama or danger. If you're drawn to subtle shifts in dreaming, lucid nights, or clearer intuitive nudges, listen close. And safety first. If you're pregnant, breastfeeding, taking medications, or have serious health conditions, please consult a trusted practitioner before trying any of these. Now, tell me in the comments, have you tried any of these herbs? Which one calls to you? A quick note about the pineal, the third eye, and what to expect. The pineal gland is a tiny structure tucked deep in the brain, involved in sleep-wake cycles and the body's timing mechanisms. Across cultures, it's been called the third eye, a seat of inner sight, a place where dreams, symbols, and subtle perception converge. Some researchers have explored biochemical activity around it, and many traditions have described practices and plant allies that seem to shift the way we dream and sense. I'll use the word boost carefully. These plants do not guarantee visions or miracles. What they often do is alter states of relaxation, dream vividness, and attention, opening a doorway you can step through with intention and integration. These 7 plants earned a forbidden reputation for different reasons. Some were banned by authorities suspicious of altered states. Others were taboo because of their power to open dream worlds or because they were associated with sacred women, shamans, or rites that challenged social order. I'll give you for each the common and botanical name, a brief ancestral note about why it was feared or hidden, the subjective effects people report for dream and pineal work, a safe home infusion or ritual guideline, except for the ceremonial-only medicine, timing frequency recommendations, and clear contraindications. 1. Artemisia, mugwort, Artemisia vulgaris. Artemisia, commonly called mugwort, has a long reputation as a dream herb. Medieval European herbalists and indigenous communities across Eurasia called it a guardian of thresholds, hung above doorways to ward off nightmares, placed beneath pillows to encourage vivid dreams, and used by women and wise people for nighttime journeys. It became forbidden at times for its associations with witchcraft and dream visiting, and because it can be strong medicine when misused. What people report: mugwort is often used to increase dream recall, bring vivid dreamscapes, and make lucid dreaming more accessible. Some people feel a gentle warming sensation in the head or a softening of the usual mental chatter, which allows symbolic material to surface. Safe preparation for home use. For a bedtime infusion, use about 1 tablespoon of dried Artemisia vulgaris per cup, 240 milliliters of hot water. Pour water over the herb, cover, and steep 8 to 10 minutes. Sip it 30 to 60 minutes before bed. If you prefer a milder option, blend 1 teaspoon of mugwort with valerian or chamomile to temper intensity. Frequency. Start with 2 to 3 nights per week or use in cycles, e.g. 5 nights on, 2 nights off, while tracking your dreams in a journal. If you're experimenting for lucid dreaming practice, work for a few weeks to notice patterns rather than expecting immediate epiphanies. Contraindications and cautions. Do not use mugwort if you are pregnant or planning pregnancy. It is commonly described as uterotonic and therefore advised against. People with allergies to Asteraceae family plants, ragweed, chrysanthemums, may react. Mugwort can interact with certain medications. Consult a healthcare professional if you're on prescription drugs. Some individuals with epilepsy or seizure disorders report sensitivity. Avoid if that applies to you. Ritual suggestion. Before sipping, set a simple intention aloud or in your mind. I invite clear, kind dreams for insight and healing. Dim lights, place a small bowl of water nearby to symbolically receive images, and keep a pen and dream journal on the nightstand. Offer gratitude to the ancestral lineages that shared this plant. 2. Lemongrass, Cymbopogon citratus, Capim limon. Lemongrass is often thought of as a kitchen herb, but in many tropical cultures, it is also a calming, clarifying ally. It was sometimes looked on as mundane and therefore forbidden from formal rites, or conversely, reserved for domestic altars because of its protective scent. Its citrusy aroma calms the nervous system and can help quiet the interior so the mind slips into a more receptive state. What people report? A grounding relaxation, reduced mental noise, and sometimes clearer transition into meditation or sleep. It can make dream recall easier because it quiets anxious thinking that fragments nighttime memory. Safe preparation. For a fresh stalk decoction, use 2 to 3 fresh stalks, or about 2 tablespoons dried, for 2 cups of water. Bruise the stalks, bring to a simmer for 5 to 8 minutes, then strain. Drink in the evening or during a calming pre-sleep ritual. For a lighter approach, steep 1 teaspoon dried leaves per cup for 7 to 10 minutes. Frequency. Generally safe for nightly use as a calming tea. As with any new herb, begin with a few days and observe sensitivity. Contraindications and cautions. Lemongrass is typically well tolerated, but if you are pregnant or breastfeeding, check with your midwife or doctor. Some people report mild digestive upset or interaction with blood-thinning medications. If you are on anticoagulants, consult a professional. Ritual suggestion. Create a simple wind scent ritual. Brew the tea and cup it in both hands. Breathe slowly for 5 full cycles and imagine inhaling quiet and exhaling tension. Place a small piece of paper beside your cup and before drinking, write a 1-line intention for your dreaming or meditation. 3. Mint plus rosemary blend, Mentha SPP plus Salvia rosmarinus. This is a daytime ally. In many folk traditions, mint is associated with clarity and mental freshness. Rosemary has long been used to sharpen memory and wakeful attention. Together, they create a crisp tea that supports alert, lucid meditative states. Useful if you want to stimulate the mind in ways that support intuitive noticing rather than sleepy dreaminess. What people report? Increased clarity, sharper attention, and a sense of warmed, awake focus without jittery stimulants. Some report more vivid waking intuition or dream fragments remembered in the morning when the blend is used as part of a daily meditation. Safe preparation. For a cup, use about 1 teaspoon dried rosemary and 1 teaspoon dried mint, or a small handful fresh. Pour hot water and steep 7 to 10 minutes. Because rosemary can be somewhat stimulating, enjoy this blend in the morning or early afternoon rather than before bed. Frequency. Suitable for daily use in moderate amounts. Keep an eye on responses to rosemary if you have high blood pressure or neurological conditions. Contraindications and cautions. Avoid rosemary in large amounts during pregnancy. Some texts describe caution because of its potential uterotonic properties in concentrated forms. People on certain blood pressure medications or seizure medications should consult a clinician, as rosemary has been flagged in some contexts for interactions. Peppermint, mint can aggravate acid reflux in sensitive individuals. Ritual suggestion. Drink this blend before a short morning meditation or journaling session. After a few minutes of stillness, ask a simple question you'd like clarified during the day, then carry a small card in your pocket as a reminder to notice subtle signs. 4. Lavender, Lavandilla SPP. Lavender has been cherished for millennia in Roman baths, medieval apothecaries, and modern bedside rituals. It isn't forbidden in the hostile sense. Often it was too precious to be given freely, reserved for bedchambers of the sick or guarded in apothecary stores. For our purposes, lavender can support hypnagogic states and richer dream imagery by easing the nervous system and permitting the imagination to awaken without anxiety. What people report: deepening of relaxation, more vivid dream imagery, and sometimes clearer access to symbolic content at the edges of sleep, the hypnagogic state. For some, it reduces nightmares by soothing emotional hypervigilance. Safe preparation. Use about 1 teaspoon of dried lavandula flowers per cup. Steep for 10 to 15 minutes, covered. Drink in the evening, 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Alternatively, inhale a steam of lavender or place a sachet beneath your pillow as an adjunct to tea. Frequency. Generally safe for nightly use, though some people develop sensitization to strong scents. Rotate with chamomile or lemongrass to avoid habituation. Contraindications and cautions. Lavender is widely used and usually well tolerated, but if you have endocrine conditions or are taking hormone-related medications, discuss with your provider. Avoid during pregnancy unless cleared by a clinician. Traditional midwifery cautions are worth listening to. If allergic, discontinue. Ritual suggestion. After brewing, dim lights and sip slowly. Before sleep, visualize a flower opening at the middle of your forehead, slow, petal by petal, and say softly, "I rest to receive." Keep a dream journal to write impressions immediately upon waking. 5. Damiana, Turnera diffusa. Damiana is a shrubby plant native to Mexico and parts of Central and South America. Traditionally, it was used as a gentle aphrodisiac and a tonic for the nervous system, and also in rites that valued expanded conviviality or soft expansion of perception. In some colonial histories, it was suppressed because its uses challenged moral codes. In other contexts, it was a folk remedy guarded by families and healers. What people report: a light, euphoric, expansive feeling that can make long meditations feel easier and open the field of imagination. It is not a heavy visionary, but a softener that allows attention to widen without pressure. Safe preparation. For an infusion, use about 1 teaspoon, roughly 1 to 2 grams, of dried damiana per cup. Steep 8 to 10 minutes. For ritual use, limit to 1 to 2 times a week at first. If you source tinctures or extracts, choose reputable vendors and follow label guidance for concentration. Frequency. Ritual level use, 1 to 2 times weekly, is typically advised. Because of its mildly stimulating and mood-altering qualities, daily heavy use is not recommended without practitioner supervision. Contraindications and cautions. Avoid during pregnancy and breastfeeding. People taking medications for mood disorders, antidepressants, or MAOIs should be cautious. Damiana may affect neurotransmitter pathways and could interact. Consult a clinician if you are on psychiatric medications or have cardiovascular concerns. Ritual suggestion. Brew a small cup, light a candle, and spend 20 to 30 minutes in breathing practice or freeform journaling, allowing images or memories to arise without judgment. Record anything that feels meaningful. 6. Blue lotus, Nymphaea caerulea. Blue lotus, associated with ancient Egyptian iconography and ritual, has been described in temple art and myth as an ally of dawn and altered perception. It earned taboo status in some places because of its ritual use in sacred rites and associations with intoxication across elite and shamanic contexts. Today, it's often sold as a dried flower or extract. Its subtleties can be alluring and must be treated with reverence. What people report: a gentle, dreamy lucidity, not heavy sedation, but a mellowing of sensory edges that can lead to poetic dreaminess and accessible symbolic thought. Some describe soft body relaxation combined with a slight shift in perspective, conducive to meditation and gentle trance. Safe preparation. Use 1 to 2 grams of dried petals per cup. Steep in hot water for 10 to 15 minutes. Some people prefer longer steeping or a cold infusion to extract different compounds. If you experiment, do so in small amounts. Source blue lotus from reputable vendors who test for contaminants. Frequency. Limit to ritual use 1 to 2 times per week to start. Respectful occasional work is safer and honors its ceremonial history. Contraindications and cautions. Check legal status where you live. Some jurisdictions regulate or restrict sale. Avoid during pregnancy and breastfeeding. People on sedatives or substances that depress the central nervous system should avoid mixing. As with Damiana, those on psychiatric medications should consult a clinician. Ritual suggestion. Place a small piece of blue lotus in a bowl and breathe its scent before brewing. Sip slowly in a dim, safe space while listening to low, drone-like music or silence. Note any images in your mind and write them down afterward. 7. Ayahuasca, Banisteriopsis caapi plus various admixtures. Ceremonial vine medicine. Ayahuasca deserves its own section because it is not a home tea. It is a powerful sacramental brew from Amazonian traditions, composed of a vine, Banisteriopsis caapi, combined with other plants in a ceremonial context. In many places, it is legally protected for traditional and religious use. In others, it is regulated or restricted. It was sometimes labeled forbidden by colonial authorities and modern regulators alike because of its profound psychospiritual effects. What people report: deep, often transformative visionary journeys, intense emotional processing, and experiences that many describe as life-shifting. It is not a casual tool. Integration, preparation, and trustworthy facilitation are essential. Preparation and legal and ethical boundaries. I will not provide any instructions for preparing ayahuasca, and I strongly advise against attempting to brew or ingest any potent admixture outside of legal, experienced ceremonial contexts. If you are drawn to ayahuasca, seek reputable, legally operating centers, experienced facilitators, and thorough pre-screening and medical evaluation. Be aware that certain medications, especially SSRIs and many psychiatric drugs, and health conditions make ayahuasca dangerous. A proper screening is mandatory. Ritual suggestion. Place a small piece of blue lotus in a bowl and breathe its scent before brewing. Sip slowly in a dim, safe space while listening to low, drone-like music or silence. Note any images in your mind and write them down afterward. Frequency and integration. Ayahuasca ceremonies are rarely frequent and require careful integration afterward: counseling, community support, and time to process. The fast in our title does not apply to ayahuasca in the sense of immediate recreational use. Its profound power requires a slow, responsible approach. Contraindications and cautions. Do not use ayahuasca if you are pregnant, breastfeeding, have certain cardiovascular or psychiatric conditions, or are taking contraindicated medications. Legal status varies widely. Never participate in illegal ceremonies. Respect indigenous guardianship and the cultural protocols around this medicine. Copy without consent is appropriation, not appreciation. Comparative guidance. Which herbs are daily safe versus ritual only? Let's sort these allies into practical groups. Safe for more frequent, gentle daily or nightly use with typical cautions. Lemongrass, lavender, mint/rosemary blend. These are culinary plants for which moderate home use is commonly considered low risk, though pregnancy and medication interactions still apply. Moderate/regular use, watchful use, cycles, not daily heavy use. Mugwort, powerful for dream work but best in cycles. Pay attention to sensitivity. Damiana, useful in ritual frequency rather than daily tonic. Blue lotus, ritual and ceremonial, keep to infrequent use. Ceremonial only, legally regulated or requiring professional facilitation. Ayahuasca, not for DIY. Combining herbs. Gentle combinations can be effective. For example, a mild mugwort chamomile blend for dream work, or mint rosemary in the morning for lucid journaling. Avoid combining multiple strong dream or psychoactive herbs in one sitting, for instance, mugwort plus heavy damiana plus blue lotus, until you've worked with each individually and understand how they affect you. Also, avoid mixing herbs with medications without professional guidance. A practical protocol for responsible pineal third eye work. If you want a structured plan to explore safely and with results that compound over time, consider this progressive 4 to 8 week protocol. Week 1 to 2, foundational practice. Choose one gentle herb, lemongrass or lavender or mint/rosemary. Develop a nightly or morning ritual. Brew, sit for 10 to 15 minutes, breathe, set a single intention. Keep a dream and intuition journal. Note baseline sleep quality, dream recall, and daytime clarity. Week 3 to 4. Introduce a focused ally. If you want to experiment with dream lucidity, introduce mugwort on alternate nights, week 3, continuing your journal. Keep quantities moderate and only one new herb at a time. Observe emotional responses, sleep patterns, and any physical effects. Week 5 to 8. Deeper ritual and integration. If you feel stable and curious, try a ritual session with Damiana or Blue Lotus once per week in a supportive setting. Use a simple ritual, intention, gentle breath work, single-pointed journaling afterward. Continue dream journaling daily. Assess changes. More vivid dreams, clearer synchronicities, or no change, all are useful data. General practice notes. Always start with low doses and increase slowly if needed. Drink water and stay physically grounded. Herbs that shift perception can feel disorienting if taken on an empty stomach or while dehydrated. Track your cycles in a notebook. Date, time, herb, dose, setting, intention, and the subjective outcome the next morning. If something feels destabilizing, blurred thinking, anxiety, or unusual bodily symptoms, stop and consult a healthcare professional. Safety, legality, and cultural respect. Firm reminders. I must be explicit about limits. Some of these plants and practices live within protected indigenous frameworks. Do not take ceremonial formulas out of context without permission and guidance. When seeking Blue Lotus, Damiana, or other less common plants, source from reputable vendors who test for purity, absence of heavy metals, and correct botanical identification. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. Avoid mugwort, Damiana, Blue Lotus, and other plants traditionally considered uterotonic or insufficiently studied in pregnancy. If you are pregnant, breastfeeding, or planning pregnancy, consult a trusted health professional before using any of these herbs. Medications and medical conditions. Many herbs interact with prescription medications, especially antidepressants, MAOIs, anticoagulants, and cardiovascular drugs. If you take medication, consult the prescribing clinician before introducing any herbal protocol. Ayahuasca. Do not prepare or seek out underground brews. Work only within legal and ethically responsible contexts with experienced facilitators who provide thorough screening, safety protocols, and integration support. Cultural respect. Name the lineages. Damiana carries relationships within Mesoamerican folk medicine. Blue Lotus has ties to ancient Egyptian ritual and regional uses. Ayahuasca is Amazonian in origin and sacred to many indigenous peoples. Approach these plants with humility. Learn about the peoples who stewarded these medicines and, when possible, support indigenous-led organizations or practitioners. How to notice shifts, what to track. Keep a dream journal. Note vivid images, recurring symbols, entrances and exits from lucid states, any synchronistic signs during the day, and mood changes. Record body sensations during and after ingestion. Many people notice incremental shifts, deeper dream recall, small intuitive nudges, more clarity in meditation over weeks rather than overnight awakenings. That's not a failure. It's the plant teaching a durable, integrated kind of seeing. Integration and community. Integration is where the real growth happens. Share experiences with a trusted friend or a community group, but avoid oversharing raw emotional or visionary material online without context. If an experience brings up intense emotions or trauma, Consider seeking a therapist or an integration practitioner who understands plant medicine contexts. Frequently asked practical questions. Can I take these herbs together? A. Start with one at a time. Once you know your baseline reaction to each, experiment with gentle pairs, lemongrass plus lavender for sleep, mint plus rosemary for day clarity. Avoid stacking multiple powerful dream herbs at once. Q. How long until I see a change? A. Some people notice subtle effects the first night. Stronger, sustainable changes often happen over 2 to 8 weeks of consistent, intentional practice. Q. Are there objective measures the pineal changes? A. There are physiological aspects to sleep and circadian rhythm linked to the pineal. However, claims that the pineal produces DMT or that herbs directly create chemical visions are controversial and not settled science. Speak of subjective experience. Deeper dreams, altered attention, and symbolic opening, these are common and meaningful outcomes. Q. What if a herb makes me anxious or unwell? A. Stop immediately. Hydrate, ground with food and warmth, and seek medical care if symptoms are severe. Document the reaction and avoid that herb going forward unless supervised by a practitioner. Invitation to experiment responsibly. If you're intrigued, begin with a simple 3-step evening protocol this week. Choose one gentle herb, lemongrass or lavender, brew a cup, set a single short intention, and keep your dream journal beside the bed. Do this nightly for 7 nights and note changes. After that, decide whether to introduce mugwort or try a ritual blue lotus evening. A small word on forbidden, reverence over romance. The notion that a plant is forbidden can be alluring in a market that prizes transgression. I encourage you to move beyond novelty. Forbidden often meant powerful, not for everyone, or reserved. Approach with reverence, consent, and care. Let the plants teach, don't demand. If you want deeper, practical protocols, step-by-step ritual guides, vendor recommendations for high-quality sourcing, meditations tailored to each herb, and printable dream journal templates, I put together a detailed resource called The Code of Herbs. It contains expanded rituals, measured dosage ranges to try responsibly, contraindication checklists, and integration practices designed for safety and depth. You'll find a link to it in the description and the pinned comment. I wrote it for people who want to go beyond curiosity and build a thoughtful practice over months rather than chasing quick highs. Closing reflection. These plants are not miracle shortcuts. They are living teachers, lenses that can help you notice the world differently, invite dream intelligence, and open subtle channels of perception. Use them with respect, listen to your body, honor the lineages that carried them, and bring what you learn back into daily life. If a tea makes your dreams brighter, let the insight guide a small, real-world action the next day. That's integration. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you worked with any of these herbs? Which one calls you, and what did you notice? Share a brief note in the comments so we can learn together. If you're ready to go deeper and want a responsible, well-referenced roadmap with rituals, meditations, and sourcing tips, check out the Code of Herbs in the description. If this video supported you, please subscribe and share it with a friend who is serious about plant medicine with respect. Thank you for holding space for these old allies with care. May your dreams be kind, your insights clear, and your practice steady.